Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. If you are looking for the April meeting of the Oregon Housing Stability Council, you found it. We just opened up the virtual meeting room a moment ago, so I'm going to give a minute or two for everyone to have a chance to come in and get settled, and then we'll start with today's business. Again, thanks for being here. Okay, let's begin, everyone. At this time, I would like to formally call to order the April 4th, 2025 meeting of the Oregon Housing Stability Council. And first thing is a roll call of our membership.
Thank you, Chair Hall. For the record, Councilmember DeFontorum has been excused from today's meeting, and Councilmember Mena will be late. Councilmember Farrell.
Present.
Chair Hall.
Present.
Councilmember Lee.
Here.
Councilmember Rogers.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Meehan.
Here.
And Councilmember Willard.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum today, Chair Hall.
Excellent. Our second agenda item, this is something relatively new to our agenda, but I think it's been received very well by the council. Time set aside for review and follow-up action items. However, today it just so happens we don't have anything under this header, but it will continue to be part of our agenda. Next up is time for the report of the chair, and I just want to gather a few thoughts about where we are, our place in the housing and global ecosystem. In the world of housing and the adjacent systems that help people secure access to their fundamental needs, it seems, especially now, like new challenges and opportunities arise each month. Now, in these moments, it reinforces the need for various housing boards and commissions, including our council, to remain firmly anchored in our values and implementing those values in a durable way. And I want to say I really appreciate the council's strong and ongoing commitment in this area. Well, it's spring. That means the legislative session is actively unfolding. The agency was recently in front of the Ways and Means Subcommittee over several days to discuss the budget. But these budget hearings are a time to talk through nuts and bolts of funding proposals. It's also a time when the director and the agency can convey the state's housing vision. The fact is, our communities and state are stronger when all people, I want to underscore that, have their fundamental needs met. I'm excited for the opportunity for the council to engage in and support the budget as this session progresses. I submitted testimony for last week's hearings, but there will be further opportunities ahead as the budget works through the pipeline, and I think it would be great for the legislature to hear the voices of more of us. No secret, no surprise that there are so many challenges right now in accomplishing our mission. Between rising insurance costs, interest rates, construction costs, we need to ensure the state's housing portfolio continues to thrive as we prepare to increase housing supply. And of course, we need to continue to innovate. On today's agenda, we're getting an ORCA update, which is a testament of how the state is continuing to do business differently. Unchanged fundamental values, but carrying them out in a new way. Now, since we're going to be hearing from the Energy Services team today, it's worth noting that the value of a long-running program that doesn't get enough attention often, LIHEAP, it's a critical lifeline to help families and seniors to pay their utility bills. We know that the cost of living is too high for too many families across Oregon, and we need this program in its fullest form to be counted on by Oregonians. And before I pass off to our director, I want to remind everybody of the public hearing process. It is never the council's intention to limit or to abruptly cut off anyone's time. As a reminder, the public hearing today is specific to transactions on this month's agenda, and we appreciate the public for holding true to that process in advance. So that's what I've got. Director Bell, are you ready?
Sure. Good morning, Chair Hall, members of the committee. It is the council, excuse me. It's good to see you. Happy Friday. I hope everybody is doing well. No specific items from my seat. There's a few things I do want to just reinforce and call council's attention to. The first one is, as noted in the agenda, we'll have an update regarding ORCA, so the Oregon Centralized Application Process. As you know, we have, through the leadership of Natasha Detweiler-Davy over several months, have been coming to council to really share really early concepts and thinking as we were pivoting from the NOFA process to talk about the need for not only doing business differently, but being able to establish new ways of working that are going to help facilitate our goals, and where we need to take some smart and strategic risks to be able to help support the supply side efforts. And so as part of that work, we are continuing to want to bring constant updates around what we're learning, what we're observing, what those trends are, both at the request of the council, but just as a means of continuously bringing updates to the council so that we can have access and visibility to the same sort of ebbs and flows that we're observing, so that as we need to make adjustments, which are always inevitable, particularly if you're doing something new, we want the council to be equipped and engaged with that. And so we'll have an update today, and would be really valuable to, I think, continue to get council's feedback around how those updates can continue to be helpful for you to engage and helpful to give us feedback, both during these meetings, but also if there's any particular nuanced follow-up that each individual council member desires, that we can be responsive to that. And as a reminder, even though the ORCA is a new process and it's functionally moving things forward and working well, we also recognize that change is inevitable, and we want to continue to be responsive to things that we're seeing, and also share those just for public awareness, so that we don't let too much time go by before we need to evaluate and make necessary changes with any part of our work. So we want to engage you in that today, and we'll look forward to any thoughts and feedback that you might have for us in that process. Secondarily, Council Chair Hall mentioned that we're in session. It is in full swing like never before. So as Chair Hall mentioned last week, or the week before rather, we were in front of our Ways and Means Subcommittee over several days for a couple of hours to dissect every portion of the budget. We expect, as we're moving into phase 2, that we'll be back in front of the committee for additional conversations about particular topics of interest, or that they want to dive deeper into than maybe what we than time was able to allow during the first round of conversation. So we will commit to not only bringing council updates around where session is at and any key milestones, but also just the tone and altitude of conversations. What are the things that are coming up? What's the discourse like? So that the council can continue to have visibility over that as well. And then the last thing that I will mention, since Chair Hall opened the door for it, is I know there is a lot of attention and question and curiosity about the future of our LIHEAP program. So just for context and awareness, LIHEAP is not a program that gets a lot of attention. There's a lot of parts of the agency and some of our programs that don't always get as much attention or are lesser known. But I will say for people across communities whose lives have been made better because of programs like LIHEAP, either with being able to have a resource to help you pay your energy or utility bill, or making sure is in the summertime as there's rising heat, that people that have AC can crank that AC on knowing that they'll still be able to pay their bill, or even worse, if they don't have AC and need it, that there is a resource to help not only make sure that you have a home and that you have a place to live, but that you have a quality of life with that. And so LIHEAP is one of those really critical programs that's lesser known, but so incredibly valuable. And so just want to provide some assurance to the council and to the members of the public writ large, based on what we know today, that that program continues to be live and active. We'll continue to engage and expect that that program will operate in its fullest form, so that the people of Oregon that rely on that program for a means of quality of life, that we can continue to meet, help support people's most fundamental needs. Recognizing, again, as this council knows, a lot of people that are rent burdened are often energy burdened as well. So it's important that we are able to have important stacking of resources to help support folks, particularly as costs continue to rise and incomes don't or haven't kept up with the pace of the realities of the world. So wanted to share those on the offset. Appreciate council being here and willingness to engage in some of the important conversations that we will have for you today. So with that, I will yield, Chair Hall, and turn it back to you to dive into the remaining part of the agenda.
Thanks very much, Director Bell. Any council questions or feedback for the director before we plunge into the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Hopefully our Affordable Rental Housing Division team is ready to go. Director Natasha Detweiler-Dobby.
Yes. Hello, Chair Hall, Director Bell, Housing Stability Council. It's nice to see you this morning in April. It is April now. I'm still getting used to that. And I think we have, a couple transactions here. We'll move into the public hearing space in just a minute. I think I'll, though, take a minute to just dovetail from Director Bell's overview of our work in ORCA, and I think we see within this agenda some of the follow through of those commitments. We have included in the first transactions that Ty will be digging into a 4% transaction. We also have Elm Park, which is the project that has previously been approved through the ORCA. And as we've been digging through the financial eligibility, and I think this came up, the sponsor provided testimony last month around OHTCs and how that was structured in the pro forma initially. And so this is this clarification, so wanting to correct the record of a project that's still doing all of the things that was previously approved and presented, but that we needed to rectify some of the things that we now know need to be updated in how we would traditionally see those restrictions being recorded. And so we also have the River Road information in the packet that is a follow up on our conversation last month, where we're able to do some of that work to provide the follow up detailed information as projects are still in their phase of work getting finalized commitments for after our letter of intent coming out of Housing Stability Council. So I'm really excited to continue to be doing and practicing these things and bring forward this slate of projects to continue to move forward into production. And so I think with that, Chair Hall, I'll cede to public comment, and then we can pick back up with our agenda.
Let's do that now. Open a public hearing in accordance with ORS 456.561 regarding today's transactions. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. We have 3 constituents who have signed up, and so I'll call on them in order. And then after we hear from them, we'll have one opportunity if somebody is not signed up and wishes to offer testimony related to these specific transactions, we'll do that. But first up, Neil Whitaker, are you online?
I am. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Members of the council and Director Bell, CDP is the developer up for funding and is also the owner of Milepost 5. And Milepost 5 was profitable prior to hedge fund ownership, but somehow with 20 million in public funds added, has severe livability issues and is in the red. So I don't really see any reason for me not to engage in a basic civic duty to inform you of this. You are currently unable to demonstrate that Milepost 5 is a safe and healthy place to live. And at times, OHCS claims to be working closely with CDP to resolve the issues, and at other times, you claim to be strictly a funding body. And what you are now telling the elected officials that are inquiring about Milepost 5 over the phone is drastically inconsistent with the content in your own public record emails. The documents just do not back you up. There is also a $6 million private loan that CDP took out for the purchase of Milepost 5 that then subsequently CDP is soliciting for OHCS to convert or restructure this hard debt into a soft note. I have asked what this means. It shows up several times in the public record. They are requesting soft loan proceeds from the agency to refinance a private loan that they agreed to with a private entity. So I would love an explanation as to how this works. What is your general policy and process around a loan of this type that you were not an original signer on, as far as I know? And is this situation common? Or common for an already tax subsidized private equity backed developer requesting an extra 6 million more in financial help for a property like Milepost 5? And this is a simple question. What is the taxpayer's relationship to this loan? And you could answer that right now if you felt free. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Karen Long. Karen Long, Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation. Are you online?
Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Karen Long. I'm the Executive Director of Mid-Columbia Housing Authority and Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation. I'm here today to voice support for the approval of funding for Mariposa Village in Hood River. Hood River is one of the most unaffordable places to live in the state of Oregon, and Mariposa Village will add 130 units of affordable housing to the Hood River community for the first time since 2011. This much needed project has had strong support from the community of Hood River and the entire Gorge community since the beginning. So we're really excited for this project to continue moving forward, and most excited about, when the day comes when people can move into their new homes. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Richard Solon. Richard, are you there, sir?
Richard, I don't see your name on the list. If you're joining via phone, use the raise hand function, which is *9. Okay, no Richard.
Okay, so one opportunity now, if anybody wishes to offer testimony regarding these specific questions as in accordance with, these specific transactions, and this is in accordance with ORS 456.561. If so, please use the raise your hand function. And we're not seeing anyone?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to ORCA recommendations then.
Great. Thank you, Chair Hall, Housing Stability Council, and I will hand it off to Ty Dunson-Strain to share the two projects. One, a 4% transaction, another is an update to the ORCA resources, as I mentioned earlier. And so I'll hand it off to Ty and share screen here.
Good morning, council members, Chair Hall, Director Bell. For the record, Ty Dunston-Strain, AD of production, here to present two projects. Mariposa Village, sponsored by Columbia Cascade Housing and Community Development Partners. It's a 130 unit project in Hood River, with a range of unit sizes and affordability, and 39 rent assisted units provided by Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation. The total project cost is over $72 million. They and includes 38 million in conduit bonds, and with 4% tax credits. Next slide. Columbia Cascade and Community Development Partners did extensive outreach to the community organizations, and which resulted in several MOUs. One named in the presentation in the slide deck is with Nichai Wana Housing of Hood River. They've been in empowering and supporting serving Native American families in Hood River since 2022. Also, just for notes in the packet, there's a MOU signed with Oregon Human Development Corporation, and also an MOU with the sponsor itself, Columbia Cascade Housing, to provide resident services. In addition, the development team is engaging with Engage Northwest to focus on additional programming to support underserved and BIPOC communities, and with other additional partnerships with have in reference to crafting tenant outreach for in support of all the communities that serves, and in addition, for the MWSB target piece, the committed goals of serving participation that has been committed to by the partners, and we'll be tracking that closely. And the project we're naming aligns with two of the priorities for the statewide housing plan: affordable housing and equity and racial justice. So with that, I'll move on to the next transaction, which is just a funding update, and just want to acknowledge the work of the sponsor, who worked in earnest with us to make sure we're on the right path to make sure the project is completing all the ORCA standards. So which resulted in a lowering of the just wanted to call out a lowering of the lift request, and an adding a OHTCs to the permanent loan, and just a confirmation on the affordable restrictions. All of the other strategies, services, and amenities and preferences that were previously approved are still constant. Next slide. So these are previously commitments that were already reviewed by the by council. Just wanted to make short reference again to the partnership with SUSLA Outreach Services, and for the tenant, the tenants for well, that will be in the building, and the commitment for the MWSB is all still holding in place. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, council members, questions on these proposed transactions, other feedback? I see a hand up, and it's Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Chair Hall. Thanks, Ty, for the briefing. I've got a couple of questions, and maybe there's a follow-up action. So, Ty, you just referenced for the Elm project that they had previously talked about their commitments to equity and racial justice, and they had outlined some things. This language still reads as if it's aspirational, not we're working and we've done these things. So I wonder if there's a status update about that, and maybe I'm misunderstanding where we're at in the process. So happy to be told, nope, they haven't had a chance to work on it. However, I thought I heard you say, we had already preliminary approved them in a phase. And I just want to say that, for me, what's in there right now is inadequate. Siuslaw is a very rural area. I understand that. And Lane County certainly has capacity and access to many ways of holding a commitment to racial justice and equity. So what's in there now, hopefully I said that the last time, feels very inadequate to me, and I would be interested in the status update if, I heard correctly and things are moving forward and they're working on it. Would love to hear the progress. Love to hear the learning and what's going on there.
Yeah, and
so that's for Elm. And then I feel like we need to have, we've had a number of conversations, and of course we've heard a lot from the community. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Natasha.
Oh, your voice cut out for a moment. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You should go for it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm having bad internet today. So my second question has to do with Mariposa. I support this project, and I also want to acknowledge that we have had over many months a continuing conversation with this with the council about one of the partners. We've also had feedback from the community. I know that staff are working diligently on it. We've, asked for briefings along the way. I would very much like to have an update and a briefing on what the status of our engagement and our relationship is with one of the partners connected to Mariposa. I support this project, and I want to make sure that we're going to hear the latest of where the staff efforts have been, because this issue is being raised so many times, and we on council have spoken to it and had some conversation about it as well. So I support both of these projects. These are two questions for information or clarification, and if now isn't the right time to do that, I can certainly be happy with them to go on the follow-up. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Director Bell, if there's another strategy you would like, but I was thinking let me talk a little bit about Elm Park and where we are in this process. This is a project, and so as we deconstructed our application process, and so you approved Elm Park with the all of this framing of this is what the project is doing, in just a couple months ago. So we approved that based on that impact assessment. They have been proceeding through financial review, which is where that deeper thing is. We are not at the finalized commitment. We are not at the closing. So they are still doing table modeling, and I'm sure there's a lot of diligence going on. There's diligence going on all over the place. And so these are still in the same framing of aspirational language around that. And I think we can, be planning to be able to provide updates on project status and what, is accomplished as that project moves forward. But I think it is this is a new, seeing a project again at this place is new, and it is not terribly different from the perspective of action and kind of working in community than it was previously. And so I think that's why you're seeing that the same. And I think, I don't know, Director Bell, on the community development partners and the ongoing conversation around Milepost 5, I think
Yeah.
Curious for your thoughts.
Yeah, I won't pontificate for too long. So thank you, Councilmember Lee, both for the questions, insights, and feedback. We can commit to providing an update to council, either a written update or just come back at a council meeting here in the near future and just provide a broader update. I also want to make sure that it's abundantly clear that any and all transactions that come to the council, they're because they are eligible and meet all of the criteria abundantly in order to come for approval. So I want to make sure that is unequivocally clear that any transaction and all transaction that makes it this far and that comes to council, it's because it is ready and meets all of the qualifications for approval. And we can also be responsive to the ongoing interest, curiosity, and question, and also make sure that the council has a thorough update and can provide insights and needs that you all might have as well, so that we can be responsive to that.
Hey, anything further from the council? Councilmember Rogers.
Thank you, Chair Hall and the team for giving us the update on these particular projects. And so I just had a question. So on page 11, which is the summary for Mariposa Village, I'm just wondering what happened to one unit. So it says the total units are 130, but affordable are only 129. So does that mean there's a extra one, or is it just the leasing office? And then also in the area of units by size, there's one at the bottom that says 34. Is it a 3-bedroom studio, and just what happened with that? So thanks.
Thank you. I think the one unit that's not restricted would be manager's unit. The team will verify, but ordinarily that reads that way when it is a manager's unit, and there are eligible ratios in terms of where you would allow a manager's unit to be funded in the project. And I would believe that the 34 that should be read 3-bedroom. Is that right, Ty?
Yeah, that's a word edit that got
It got lost, so it's
got lost. So the versioning. So we that is a 3-bedroom.
Thank you.
Oh, Chair Hall, you're muted.
Sorry, thank you. Anything else from the council right now on these transactions? Are we ready for a motion then? This would be for Mariposa and Elm Park, correct?
Yeah, so there are there's Mariposa, which is included also in the resolution document that the motion approves. Elm Park is an funding update for the ORCA, which is also included in there. So there's effectively 2 motions to approve them both. You can approve them as a slate.
Okay, would somebody like to make that motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Can we have the roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair Hall. For the record, Councilmember Mena has now joined us. Councilmember Farrell,
Yes.
Chair Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Mena,
Yes.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Meehan,
Yes.
Councilmember Willard.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. On to Albany Veterans Orca update.
Absolutely, yeah. So I will share screen and hand it off to Assistant Director Amy Cole to be able to present the Orca project.
All right, good morning, Chair Hall, members of the Housing Stability Council, and Director Bell. I'm Amy Cole, the Assistant Director of Development Resources, and I'm here to present an Orca project for your consideration. As always, just providing a few stats about what's going on with the Orca in impact assessment. This is a point in time snapshot. So we currently have 23 projects in impact assessment that are under review, 91 total projects in the impact assessment step. That is made that those 91 are 47 for project-led projects, 54 nonprofit-led projects, 11 housing authority projects, 1 tribal-led project, and 1 that is considered other. Next slide. Okay, thanks. So the project that we're talking about today is Albany Veterans Apartments. This development will be 38 units. The sponsor is Mid-Willamette Family YMCA. It's located in Albany, in Lynn County, and the request is for about 10.5 million in Veterans GHAP, General Housing Account funding. Next slide. Thank you. Mid-Willamette Family YMCA has in place strategies and plans and partnerships to reach and serve and work with underserved BIPOC and veteran community members. Some highlights about what they will do, and they'll connect with tenants with culturally specific support services, offering access to housing stability programs, employment assistance, and mental health resources that are responsive to the needs of marginalized communities. They're also planning to work with Veterans Legacy Camp Alma, which offers Indigenous healing practices and culturally sensitive trauma recovery for veterans experiencing PTSD and substance use challenges. This provides a unique resource for Indigenous tenants within the community. The sponsor and the general contractor commit to reaching their MWESB participation rate. They know what's expected and have plans for reaching their goal. And we will monitor, OHCS will monitor their progress. Right, next slide. And this is just a reminder, as I always put at the end of the slides about the projects, just about what happens next in the Orca. So if this project is approved for funding today, it will receive a letter of intent from OHCS and move forward to the financial eligibility step of the Orca. Projects have 6 months to complete the requirements of the financial eligibility step and move to commitment. Let's see. The production team in this step, production team will ensure that each project meets financial and underwriting standards and ensures that projects are leveraging debt and other resources that justify and support the state investment. The final award amount for each project will be arrived at through the underwriting process in the financial eligibility step. Next slide. All right, so happy to answer questions. The motion is for your consideration is on page 21 of your packet.
All right, council, the ball's in our court now. Questions, feedback? Don't be shy. You never are. Well, If that's the case, would somebody like to make the motion on page 21 to approve the Albany Veterans Apartments project?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair Hall. I believe that was Councilmember Meehan that seconded that. Was that correct?
I think it was Councilmember Farrell, but I was going to.
Okay,
It's not me.
I second then.
okay. Thank you. Councilmember Farrell,
Yes.
Chair Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Mena,
Yes.
Councilmember Rogers,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Meehan,
Yes.
Councilmember Willard.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay,
You.
River Road informational update?
Great, yeah, thank you, Chair Hall, Housing Stability Council. And so I think we last month approved River Road for funding through that upfront impact assessment. Councilmember Lee had some questions around the ERJ strategies, and so we did provide deeper information about that in the packet. I think don't have a specific presentation on that, but I'm wanting to have that as a follow-up loop, and certainly any other questions that you have around those materials. I think following up, if you know what those are right now, that's fine. Also, questions, certainly feel free to send them on to about transactions, wanting to make sure that we are able to provide the right information and striving for the challenges of having consistent information about lots of different styles and form and function of projects and applications is largely, I think, are this iteration that we need to just be able to do in earnest. And so I think wanting that to represent our commitment to it. And so I think then the other new item in the Housing Stability Council packet is, and I might just put it on the screen, I decided not to, went crazy. I did not do a PowerPoint about the memo because I thought maybe the memo was the actual thing. So I will though just put it on screen in case that's helpful for anybody. We have launched the ORCA, and as Director Bell was talking around this morning, we launched the ORCA, shifting the way we do business pretty significantly, which has impacts both internally as well as on our development partners, on jurisdictions, on community. And so in that process, we committed to continuing to evaluate, evolve, and refine where needed. And we also committed to transparency. And so some of that has meant that we have done a bunch of putting data on things out in different ways. And what has started to feel like is there needs to be some of our storytelling that provides the words to it at the same time as we produce a table. And so this is a try. I'm curious for your feedback. I think, and it doesn't need to be today. I'm hoping that we are going to provide this monthly update for you, and we can continue that dialogue. I don't expect that we need to do a deep conversation every month around it, but that it is there. And I'll kind of just walk through what is in here at this moment in time as we get to a place where we are approaching this and the end of the biennia in legislative session currently. We are optimistic for additional legislative investment, as reflected investment in the governor's recommended budget to continue the pace of production currently that folks are rushing towards and making sure to do, and also wanting to make sure that we are really effectively prioritizing getting resources to community to begin doing their work in earnest. All ORCA updates are a moment in time, as Amy presented the newer information from a few weeks ago when we drafted and finalized this narrative and this update. There will be always kind of shifting, and so each of these is a point of time, kind of giving our best thoughts to it. We know, we are continuing to evaluate, and as we learn, we built this process based on partner input around what they need to be able to get ready. We also now know that projects are getting ready, are waiting in that wait list, and that becomes a lot of pressure on that wait list, and that is a real pressure. We have now launched our tax credits into the ORCA, which I think does is really exciting. We are anticipating bringing funding recommendations from the 4% applications next month. We have the 9% selection form out live now. It's due later this month in the April 20 something, I think is what's in my mind. And anticipate, I think with some caveats to, we will see how many applications are submitted, but are aiming towards having those projects identified that are selected from that 9% process around June, so that we are continuing to kind of stack forward transactions. We do have, oops, I'm flipping in the wrong direction. We have, I think we are expecting and anticipating that there will be some impacts from all of the federal shifts on development budgets and others. And so wanting to keep hold, part of the reason for needing an ORCA is to be able to have ways to be resilient in times of change and crisis. And so are wanting to continue to lean into that and engage in innovation along those lines. We are looking at the resources that we have remaining on our funding calendar, which our funding availability, to see where we are opportunities as we approach the end of this fiscal year, to pool funds to make sure that we can fund the next projects on these lists. We'll bring those recommendations around that to you all next month based on what has already been adopted with Housing Stability Council. And then this section here on the pipeline goes a bit deeper into providing some of the more conversations around what are we seeing in intake, what are we seeing in impact assessment, and then going into each of the different buckets of funding and what we are seeing in there. As I mentioned, we have our 4% offering open right now, 9% is open right now, and we do have remaining resources in lots of different areas and a huge list of projects that are seeking LIFT resources for gap only and with 4%. And so those are all kind of resources that are available, striving to find projects to connect to those that are, where are the ways where we can make sure we can deploy remaining funds, and then through the process to get to the commitment stage. And I think I scrolled past it, but there is a link then to our website where we have the full detail on the resources that we have remaining and available. We, again, will do this monthly update of this, so we always have the current information. This tracking of resources and pipeline is also published on the online. And so I think that's largely what I am wanting to cover. Certainly any thoughts or feedback on those documents I'd welcome, but certainly no pressure for it to be today. If that is something you want to kind of take and consume and see how this works moving forward, I welcome the feedback at any point in time.
Council? Anybody want to chime in right now? If not, okay. Councilmember Rogers, to be followed by Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Natasha. So I just have want to ask a clarifying question to get a better understanding of the HSC waitlist. So does that mean that you've gone through and they're just waiting for you to say, yes, we're going to move forward and provide a letter to you, or what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. So the HSC waitlist on in the stage of things are projects that have submitted their full impact assessment application. We have evaluated that. Any deficiencies or questions or curiosities have been asked and answered. We have identified that those are projects that meet our impact assessment standards for funding. And so when resources are available to be able to fund them, we would bring them to Housing Stability Council. So those are projects where we have already done that kind of policy layered review. And when we have resources, so if they're on the wait list and are not being recommended, it will be because in most cases, it's because there is not the amount of resources available for the type of resources the project requires or is asked for to be able to bring it to a recommendation. So there's the majority of the wait list is really our projects that had applied for what we call lift only, where they are wanting lift resources. They're not asking for corresponding tax credits. And so there's a wait list of projects where we had insufficient resources to fund the next projects on those lists. So when we get additional lift investments that we dedicate to that profile of projects, we would be funding the top on those lists as long as they are able to ensure that the project is still substantially the same and it is still financially viable, so they can continue into those next steps of work.
Okay, and then thanks for that. And so then additional lift resources won't be until after the budget process is complete?
Right. So there is in legislative session right now, there are the governor's recommended budget and included resources to be able to fund more lift projects and more PSH investments. And so those resources, if the legislature approves an allocation of funds to it, will be brought into ORCA. We will need to discern how much of those resources go to gap only versus with tax credits, and do that work. But our intent is to very quickly, from legislative approval of new investment, to be able to move to funding recommendations to Housing Stability Council, so that we can take opportunity with all of the projects that have been getting themselves ready to do that.
Oh, wow. So possibility of a lot of projects coming to us.
Yes, absolutely. Which is exciting to not have a big lag to all of that.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Councilmember Rogers, one thing that I would maybe just add in terms of across the several benefits of the ORCA, there is a level of higher aptitude of readiness from the point of legislative commitments to projects that are in the pipeline, and being able to integrate those into the process that we have with projects based on their readiness. As where in a previous state with the NOFA, we would have had to put out a NOFA, put the competition in out there. So there is an ability to match the resources with projects and readiness based on what they're asking for as soon as those legislative commitments hit. And so that's the reason we're looking forward to, one, making sure that the legislature has the detailed information that they need to make the appropriate decision, and know that the moment that there's a legislative commitment, we can then pivot into business to get those resources moving.
Exciting. Great. Thank you.
Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Chair Hall. Natasha, I just want to thank you for the presentation and also for the follow-up. I think you and I have had a lot of discussions about, can we get more information? Can we follow up? It is not, for me, ever a request of, this is bad and this is good, although I certainly have opinions on it. What's important to me is that we think about these things. We ask ourselves questions about these things, and we engage in information sharing back and forth. So I just want to so appreciate your practice and the diligence of you and your team to do that with us. It's very meaningful to me as a member of this council to know that staff are going to come back and say, this was not the right question, but here's the right, whatever it is. The fact that you respond is really meaningful to me, and I want to thank you for that. I just want to say, every time, I know this has been so messy, and I just am so thrilled every time we look at what we're learning with this new process. The innovation is just, it's just wonderful. So I just want to acknowledge that. And finally, I just want to say there are 600 new homes about to be built for our communities across the state, with a phenomenal amount of other ones ready to go once legislative resources are made. I don't think we often just stop and pause enough to say 600 people will have safe, affordable, and secure housing at the end of these development processes. So I just want everyone, staff, developers, community, who are a part of making these things work. I know change is not easy, and there have been, bumps along the way, and the risk that everyone has taken to go into this new process is resulting in some incredible achievements. So I'm feeling it today, and want to say, I hope everyone else is feeling it, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Lee. I echo all of the effort and energy. And I think, again, I do appreciate that you are feeling that we are really holding close our commitment to exploring and innovating and trying to balance that collaborative support with accountability. And I think huge credit and kudos to the team that in all of my ARH group who overwhelm me with the amazing work that they do on a daily basis, and partners for really leading this external work, which, none of it works without the whole system working together. And so I just abundant appreciation, and yes, change is not insignificant, and it's important. So yeah.
Indeed. Hey, anybody else right now, council members? Well, this is certainly not the end of a discussion, but one more chapter in a discussion, so it's all great. Thank you, Natasha, and to your team, and I believe now we're ready to move to the Housing Stabilization Division. Are you good folks ready? It's a little bit, well, more than a little bit ahead of your scheduled time, but hopefully we can move right along.
Yes, I'm hopeful of that too. Good morning, Chair Hall, members of the council, Director Bell. My name is Liz Weber. I'm the director of the Housing Stabilization Division, and hopefully popping on right now should be the manager of the new manager of the weatherization section of the Energy Services and Weatherization team, Steve Diven, and sorry, I'm getting messages at the same time that they're trying to do that as we speak. Danielle Stafford, who is the program coordinator of the weatherization team. Today we have two informational briefings for you. The first is on a pending vacancy, a geographical vacancy in the Hood River, Sherman, and Wasco County area of the weatherization program, and our proposed plan to replace that CAA that is declining to move forward with that work, so we maintain the geographic coverage of the weatherization program in that area. And then the second point of briefing we have for you today is an update on our state plan for the weatherization assistance program. And I'm looking to see if Steve and Danielle have joined yet, and it does not look like they have.
I don't see them. I resent them their link to connect.
Okay.
So hopefully they'll be on here pretty soon.
Okay. Well, I will bring up some slides and maybe get us going, and hope that they will join us soon. As long as I can make my Zoom work, since I was not planning on bringing it up. Just one moment here. Sorry.
And Chair Hall, I will defer to you and to council. If we need to take 5 to make sure that we have the right folks to be able to convene and engage in the conversation, we can do that, and we'll yield to the direction of council.
Yeah, I think that's certainly reasonable, especially because we are running so far ahead of schedule. So unless everyone or anyone has any serious concern or objection, I'd like to call a 5-minute recess at this time, and we'll reassess then. So we're in recess. 10 this morning. Yep, it's 10:10 on Friday, April 4th, and we're reconvening the meeting of the Oregon Housing Stability Council and the Housing Stabilization Division is up right now. Take it away, folks.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair Hall. Thank you, members of the council, for giving us a few moments to pull our team together. I'm really happy to be turning over this first informational briefing about the pending vacancy in the gorge area around the weatherization program and the plans to maintain continuity of the weatherization program there. And Steve will walk us through the process and how we considered the options and our plan to move forward with that work. I'll hand it over to Steve.
Thank you, Liz. Good morning, Chair Hall and council members. My name is Steve Dive, and I'm the Weatherization Unit Manager. Thank you for the opportunity to present today on the Oregon Weatherization Assistance Program, or WAP, and our recommendation to select Neighbor Impact as a new subgrantee for the service areas of Hood River, Sherman, and Wasco counties. The Weatherization Assistance Program is a federally funded initiative designed to help low-income households improve energy efficiency in their homes. Through services such as insulation, furnace replacement, and health and safety measures, the program reduces energy costs and enhances comfort and safety for the residents. Across Oregon, the program is delivered through the Community Action Agency Network, or CAA, which conducts energy audits to determine necessary measures and oversees weatherization improvements. The program's funding sources include U.S. Department of Energy, or DOE, DOE Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or DOE Bill, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program for Weatherization, or LIHEAP, Bonneville Power Administration, or BPA, Energy Conservation Helping Oregonians, or ECHO. Mid-Columbia Community Action Council, or MCCAC, has historically administered the Weatherization Assistance Program in Hood River, Wasco, and Sherman counties. However, they face challenges in managing WAP operations stemming from the program's technical complexity and resource constraints in rural areas. On February 3rd, 2025, MCCAC officially informed OHCS of its decision to discontinue WAP effective July 1st, 2025. This initiated a search for a new subgrantee to ensure continued service delivery. OHCS notified the Community Action Partnership of Oregon, or CAPO, of the upcoming vacancy, shared performance data, and received expressions of interest. Neighbor Impact, the Community Action Agency currently providing WAP services for Crook, Deschutes, and Jefferson counties, formally requested to expand its service area to include Hood River, Sherman, and Wasco counties. A letter of recommendation supporting Neighbor Impact's selection highlighted their expertise, efficiency, and commitment to completing WAP jobs. Under 10 CFR Part 440 and ORS 458-505, federal and state statutes mandate specific criteria for selecting a replacement subgrantee, including preference for a CAA as a provider, historical and timely performance in delivering WAP, quality of work, and completed under the program, staff qualifications, and ability to recruit personnel, as well as we hosted a public hearing to gather community input regarding this change. Neighbor Impact emerges the most qualified agency based on statutory requirements and performance data. Number one, quality of work. Compliance monitoring consistently shows Neighbor Impact achieved high scores as exemplary performance across key categories such as program delivery and material use. Timely performance. Neighbor Impact completed 148 jobs this biennium, with an additional 128 in progress, fully utilizing their $4.09 million allocation and spending an additional $300,000 in additional funding due to their strong capacity and efficiency. Number three, staff qualifications. Their team includes certified specialists in energy auditing, HVAC systems, insulation techniques, and quality control inspection, or QCI, ensuring rigorous training and expertise. And number 4, ability to address staffing needs. Neighbor Impact maintains a proactive approach to recruitment and leveraging targeted campaigns to attract and retain dedicated professionals. And the public hearing was held on March 20th, 2025. It provided an opportunity for community input. We had 12 attendees, 5 offered comments. 2 expressed support of Neighbor Impact selection. 2 sought clarification on the selection criteria. And 1 initially voiced opposition to the choice, but after further discussion, changed that to full support of Neighbor Impact taking the territory. So it was unanimous. OHCS believes Neighbor Impact's proven performance and expertise with the program's mission and statutory requirements. In conclusion, OHCS recommends Neighbor Impact to fill the subgrantee vacancy for WAP in Hood River, Sherman, and Wasco counties effectively July 1st, 2025. Their track record of high quality service delivery ensures that households in these communities will benefit greatly from the program. Thank you for your time and attention. I welcome any questions and further discussion on this recommendation.
Council, you're up. Any feedback here? You know, this seems very logical to me and a way to address this need. So we'll move on to part 2, the state plan, U.S. Department of Energy Weatherization State Plan.
Chair Hall, may I interrupt here very quickly? This is an unsolicited interrupted that no one's asked for, but I just want to make sure that we are abundantly clear to the council at what happens next after this. Even though this is not a decision item, I just want to make sure that we have that. So if I can maybe just very briefly either defer to Director Weber or the team to just to make sure that that's abundantly clear.
Okay.
The next steps as far as where we go with this. Well, next steps, once we get through this process, we have already chosen them. We're going to be working with Mid-Columbia and Neighbor Impact to ensure a smooth transition. We've got vehicles to possibly move between agencies. We've got existing jobs to close. We've got to, move funding, move the funding over to Neighbor Impact and just make sure there's a smooth transition. That's our focus now. We'll be meeting with Mid-Columbia, I think, in 2 weeks, and Neighbor Impact shortly after that. Then we'll bring the 2 together to ensure they fully understand where they're at in the process. And we also have arranged for Mid-Columbia to provide referrals to Neighbor Impact through their Energy Assistance Program to ensure we're actually getting a list of clients to serve in their county, as well as they'll be transferring over their wait list for the program to Neighbor Impact. So they're certainly looking forward to working closely together to make sure this works.
Okay. Councilmember Mena.
Thank you, Chair Hall. I just want to make sure I understand. So this organization stepped up and said, this is something that we definitely can do, and they've proven that they can. My only question is, are you, as the staff and managing the program at the state level, aware of any other organization that can perform this as well? And have you reached out to them just to see why there's no interest or what the situation is?
Well, we reached out to CAPO, who of course would spread it amongst the network, and the only one that showed an interest was Neighbor Impact. And quite honestly, they're right next door. They're in the same territory. And like I say, they're one of the best agencies in the state. So they are a very good choice in my opinion. I think we'll probably be getting services there much improved over the next few years with Neighbor Impact. They're a great agency. I wish honestly, well, they're great. There's no one better than them as far as I'm seeing right now. So a great choice, I think. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
It did. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Any more council input? All right. Let's continue then.
Hello, Chair Hall and council members.
Yes.
My name is Danielle Safford and I'm the Weatherization Program Coordinator. I appreciate your time today, and I'm here to share with you our updated proposed work plan for the U.S. Department of Energy for 2025 and 26. A little background on the DOE WAP program, or Weatherization Assistance Program. DOE provides annual grants to states, territories, and some federally recognized tribes to improve the energy efficiency of homes of income qualified households who are at or below 200% federal poverty level. Through services, we offer eligible applicants energy conservation measures like attic, floor, and wall insulation, health and safety improvements such as indoor air quality evaluations that address mechanical ventilation. We install carbon monoxide alarms and smoke alarms and evaluate mold and moisture issues. The WAP addresses heating and cooling equipment and provides full combustion safety evaluations along with delivery system that is attached to it by testing the ductwork and repairing or replacing it or sealing it as needed. We offer energy education and can show folks how to keep their homes operating in a way that saves them money by showing them how and when to change their furnace filters, installing smart thermostats, offering efficient lighting and water conservation measures. Weatherization supports the whole community by employing local contractors to do the work that support local economies. We offer job creation and training opportunities that lead to lifelong careers. The community action agencies in Oregon that do this great work every day often have wait lists in place that are hundreds of households long that prioritize elderly individuals, folks with disabilities, families with children, high energy burden, and high energy usage. Since July 1st, 2024, we've weatherized 588 homes and saved on average $372 annually for an average household. We have set aside funding that replaced 33 roofs. And in Oregon, that's a big deal. And that protects the attic insulation that we're installing, which sets that home up for the next 20 years. OHCS allocated over $23 million in weatherization funds to the community action agencies. So looking ahead and planning for 2025 and 26, DOE has provided planning amounts for Oregon in the amount of $3,884,000 for 2025, with a little over $400,000 set aside for additional weatherization readiness funds. Weatherization readiness funds are relatively new to us, but they give us the chance and the opportunity to bring a home out of deferral status and making it ready for services. I mentioned that we replaced roofs with it. We've also upgraded unsafe electrical panels and wiring, fixed major plumbing issues, and even done some asbestos abatement. So although much of our state work plan is mandated by federal regulations, there are elements that we can affect, such as design implementation of comprehensive health and safety and training and technical assistance plans. Proposed changes to the plan this year are few and generally based on new or revised guidance from DOE and input from our service delivery partners at annual meetings and AWECA conferences. The most notable changes proposed this year are as follows. This year, we identified a subgrantee vacancy, which you just heard about, and established a selection process. We included a required amendment process when more than 10% of training and technical assistance is being recouped for additional program dollars. We established that the Oregon Training Institute, or OTI, is our contract trainer. We integrated 2 new processes and policies for dispute resolution and fraud, waste, and abuse. These were inserted as appendices. And that is what I have for you today. Thank you for your time. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, council. Question time, if you have any. Well, hearing none, I guess we'll say thanks to the team. Good work, and we'll look forward to following things as they roll forward. Now, we are at 10:25 and we have already worked our way through all scheduled agenda items. I just want to make sure there isn't something for the good of the order last minute or that I might have overlooked. Director Bell?
I don't believe so, Chair Hall.
All right then. Well, I want to thank the whole council team, the OHCS team, all the interested partners and observers who have been in the virtual room with us. So thank you. Oh, and we'll say thanks and see you next month. Until then, we are adjourned.